ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Dr. Manjula, go ahead and unmute yourself. We'll chant from number 14.
In my book.
Ready?
I have to get my book, Guruji. Ask somebody, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Sure, that's fine. Okay. Santosh Gupta. Thought I saw you, but
I am ready.
yeah. Namam karmani limpanti
Namam karmani limpanti.
Name karma phale spruha
Nami karma phale spriha.
iti mam yobhijanati
Iti mayo bhijanati.
karma bhirna sabadhyate
Karma bhirna sabadhyate.
evam jnatva kritam karma
Evam gyatva kritam karma.
purvairapi mumukshubhihi
Purverapi mumukshabhi.
kuru karmaiva tasmat tvam
Kuru karmeva tasmatvam.
purvaih purvataram kritam
Purve purvataram kritam.
किम कर्मेति
किं कर्मेति
कवयोऽप्यत्र मोहिताः
कव्यो अभ्यत्र मोहिता
तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि
तत् ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि
यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्
यत् यत् ज्ञात्वा मोक्षसे शुभात्
कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यम्
कर्मणो ह्यपि
बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः
बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः
अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यम्
अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यम्
गहना कर्मणो गतिः
गहना कर्मणो गतिः
कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्येत्
कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्येत्
अकर्मणि च कर्म यः
अकर्मणि च कर्म यः
स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु
स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु
स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्म कृत्
स युक्तः कृत्सन् कर्म कृत्
So we have started seeing in the 4th chapter when Krishna said, "Hey Arjuna, this topic of action, karma here means action, and that has to be properly understood." Like that, he said, "Kim karma, kim karame, kima karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha." So even scholars who are knowledgeable, otherwise knowledgeable in the Shastram, are deluded and not sure about what this action is. And that's why I'm going to teach you about this action, the so-called action, karma. Okay, that is how we entered this topic. And the first sloka of this section, that important section on karma, is verse number 18. Karmanya karmayah pashyet akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krit. So saha yuktaha saha karma krit, kritsna karma krit, we saw that last time. So karmani karma yah pashyet, the one who sees karma, inaction, when it comes to action. In action, when a person sees actionlessness, let's put it that way. Okay, karmani, in action. So which means there is no human being in this world that cannot do action. Everybody is doing action. Unless the person passes away, there is no way a person can be actionlessness. Even when the person is in deep sleep, we say he's sleeping, she's sleeping. And even if that person says, no, I'm conscious, not conscious of my sleeping, then still actions are going on. Involuntary actions are going on. So therefore, nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit. We saw that earlier. So therefore, that person was called a kritsna karma krit. That technical word we saw last time. And that person who is able to do this, karmani akarma darshana, akarmani karma darshana. One who can see action in inaction and inaction in action. Inaction in action. And how do you see, how does that person see inaction in action? That we saw, because the actions are happening with the use of the body, mind, and the senses. This entire body, mind, sense complex is constantly in a state of change and action. Action and change go together. And so action is obvious. But then that Atma is Akarta. Atma does not perform any action, is to be seen clearly. And that seen clearly is called Karmani Akarma Darshanam. Okay, that is what we saw last time. And then what about Akarmani Karma Darshanam? What about action in inaction? Well, that also we saw even before this. Nahi kasit kshanam api jatu tishtatya karma krit. Nobody can say, I am doing nothing. I am doing nothing also is a doing. And so you can't ever say, even this act of speaking is an action. And even the idea that I am doing nothing is because of that kartrutvam, because of that doership. That's why I can say I'm doing nothing. And that is called seeing action in inaction. What people say, when people say I'm doing nothing, the wise person knows this is not possible to do nothing. And so the person sees action in inaction. That is the meaning of those two. Karmani, akarma yah pashet, akarmani cha karma yaha. That is the first line. We were seeing that last time. And so, so here the idea is freedom from action, not absence of action. Freedom from action. Despite all the actions that are going on, unceasing action that is going on, and still that freedom from action. Never, we can never, since we can never be, there can never be an absence of action. Here, Krishna is talking about freedom from action. Freedom from the action, freedom from the results of action. And that is possible because Atma is already free. If Atma was not free, if Atma was not Akarta, this would not have been possible. But because Krishna wants to unfold that fact, am I audible? Yeah. So because it is a fact, because Atma is an Akarta is a fact, Krishna is able to say it. If it were not a fact, then Kartrutvam would be real, and there is no question of this Karmani Akarmaya Pashyet and Akarmani Cha Karmaya is not possible. So we have to make a note of that. And so sometimes Swami Paramanathanandaji would joke. Somebody was attending his classes, Bhagavad Gita classes, and then he said, Swamiji, I'm thinking whether or not attend Bhagavad Gita classes or whether I should attend after I get my children married. And that only one son, what children married? One son is there, get him married, and then I'll attend your classes. And attend your Upanishad classes also, in addition to the Bhagavad Gita class. So he was attending classes for a while, and then son got married. Then what happened? Then he stopped attending the Bhagavad Gita classes. So what happened, my dear friend? What about all the Upanishad classes also that are waiting for you? And no, Swamiji, so I have to go to America to do babysitting. And so I'll see you after 6 months, okay? And then this goes on like this. And so time is never going to come for this Shastram, poor Krishna. And it's not going to come. So if Swamiji says, discover leisure in yourself now and not later. Later is never going to happen. And so that leisure, karmani akarma darshan, has to be discovered now. And Puja Swamiji says that if at all there is any evil, this original sin and all, if at all there is original sin, it's this kartrutvam only. This is this doership. There can't be anything other than that. Like that, he makes a note in his talk. And so therefore, because I am unable to see that, I take myself to be a doer, and therefore I am bound by the results of my actions. Okay. So not being bound by the results of action does not mean walking away from duty. Krishna never says that. And so even the greatest philanthropist, the guy who says, I did this and I did that for society, and I gave up everything I earned and all that, somebody says that, still that person has done punya karma. And punya karma means punya phalam is there, and good results are waiting to fructify. And so the person has to enjoy the results of those actions, and better life, better worlds, better families, all these things is going to happen. And so even that person cannot say I'm free. Okay, that is not freedom. And so therefore punya karma, dharmic life is good and important, but that does not give moksha. That is why you have a fourth purushartha called moksha, which is different from dharma. Okay. And so therefore this cycle is there: janma, karma, karma phalam, then maranam, janma. Then janma, of course, karma is there because ragadvesha is there. Janma, ragadvesha, karma, karma phalam, maranam, janma. But janma is there because ajnanam is there. So we should add ajnanam in this cycle. So ajnanam, janma, karma, ragadvesha, karma, karma phalam, then another janma, maranam, janma, ityadi. So this chakra is going on constantly. So for whom is this chakram? For whom is this kama? For whom is this ragadvesha? For whom is this karma phalam? If we ask, well, for that karta alone, for that person who is very clear about what he or she wants, and for that person alone, that person is whom we call a karta. Okay. Sometimes ego, the word ego is used, ahankaraha. So in this context, they're all synonymous. We use those words, and but generally we avoid using the word ego because it can have other, connotations. So therefore, here the question is how to get out of this chakra. Once we understand this chakram, this wheel, this non-stop wheel, then we can say kartrutvam is sitting right there, ajnanam, doership is there, and therefore the karta is there, and therefore karma. Karta, karma, I forgot to say karta there, ajnanam, and then karta, ragadvesha, karma. So that karta is sitting right there. The one who says, this is me, and this is my resume, this is my autobiography. Okay, everybody has an autobiography, and that's because the kartrutvam is there. Whatever comes in your autobiography belongs to that karta, belongs to me. When I say I did this, when I say I saw him, when I say I heard the gunshot, the karta, it's all karta only. Karta. I had my lunch, I had my dinner. All that is karta. So that karta. So how to get out of this orbit of samsara? Like that, Shankara begins a discussion. And so the popular answer is performing good karmas, performing good actions, being good to yourself, to family, to community, and to the country, doing good things, benevolent actions, performing those kinds of benevolent actions is a way to come out of this samsara. There's a popular idea that is there in every culture, I suppose, and no, definitely in our dharma is very much there. Now, so when you say good actions, when you say dharmic actions, when you say outgoing, outreaching actions, then those actions will have punyam, will get a result, and you may not be interested in the result, but the result is going to accrue to your account, and so the punyam balance is going to increase by doing those kinds of good actions, okay, outgoing actions. And so then the Shastram says punyam has to get exhausted. Therefore, another janma is there. Another janma is there. And we hope it's a better janma. because we can't, Gahana Karmano Gatihi, we saw last time. And so the ways of karma are just too complex to figure out. And so hopefully that punyam will keep accruing, and then it will give me better lives later. It will give better lives later. Okay. And so, what happened to moksha? Get out of this chakra? Not happened. Swami adds one more thing. Good life comes. So either on earth or anywhere else, great life comes. And generally, when a person is given to comforts and given to an easy life, comfortable life, in time the person begins to cut corners. Swamiji says that, and give the person complete power, complete joy, complete freedom, and then the freedom can begin to get abused. So in time, Swamiji says the person can begin doing adharmic actions. What began as good karma for moksha ends up becoming not so good. Okay, that possibility is there. And so that tendency of moving away from dharma is there. And third point, what is the first point? First point is doing good karma alone cannot give us moksha, because it will only give us punya karma, and punya karma has to get fructified, has to get exhausted, and for exhausting that, the cycle has to continue. Well, second point is what? Second point is a person who is always given to good life often will end up cutting corners and following a life of dharma at some time. That possibility is high. And so third point is that it is impossible for a person to always do good karma. Impossible. 100% punya karma, 100% dharma, not possible. Because our Shastram is very strict about all these things. We were just studying about a month ago in one of the texts. I don't remember if it is Bhagavad Gita only, I think. Third chapter. He talks about Panchasuna. The Manusmriti talks about Panchasuna. Panchasuna means the five wrong things I do, any human being does daily. Okay. So there is a beautiful shloka they talk about. Chulli, etc. Chulli, Peshanam, etc. It lists 5 things. Fire, we have to cook, so we turn on the gas, we turn on the fireplace, and the minute you do that, some animals, some ants and other things are going to die, and some spiders might die in the process, we don't know. And cook, and then cooking in the food also, there's going to be some kida, etc., and which are all going to die, either because of the cooking or because of the salt I put in the cauliflower. And so I'm going to have to kill all these worms. The cauliflower worms are always white in color, and you can't see them, just like that. And you have to soak it in salt water and all. That's what my mother used to tell me long ago. So, like this is called chulli, and then peshanam. You grind stuff, you make paste out of this and that. So like this, they are listing panchasuna, but grinding. Okay, there are some words they use. I'm not getting it now. And then water, udara. There is one. So anything you make hot water or mix water, this, that, filter water, this and that. So everywhere it says panchasuna, 5 types of hurtful activities we are committing every day. That's why we have to say, at the end of the day, we have to say karacharana kritam vak, kayajam karmajam vak, because there is no way a person cannot but hurt somebody else somehow, knowingly or unknowingly. Okay, it's not possible to remain like that. So therefore, it's impossible to say I lived a very dharmic life, 100% dharmic life. Not possible, because even one word you utter, it may have been good to somebody, but yeah, I hurt somebody else in the process. One word is enough and hurt somebody. This is constantly happening. It doesn't matter how careful a sannyasi is, how they nothing. It's impossible to not hurt another person. It's not possible because the hurt is in the eye of the beholder. And so the person may not have intended to hurt, but somebody says, "You hurt me," and they may not even say it to you. And so then, this account keeps building all the time. And once you hurt somebody like that, then they will keep on assuming that you're going to hurt them. And then after a point, anytime he says something, he hurts me. Over. Then that's it. There is no chance that the person can be free from hurting other people. Therefore, this hurt is going to happen constantly. Therefore, doing this good karma and therefore getting moksha is not acceptable in Vedanta. Okay. Do good karma, gain punya. Gain punya for what? So that I can do Shravanam, I can get a guru, and I can get a guru upadesha, jnana, yogyata, I can gain the capacity to understand the scriptures. Sahaviryam karavavahai. That is why I do good karma. Okay. Sahaviryam karavavahai means may you come get me close to the Acharya Guru, and then may I get exposed to the Shastram, and may I grasp the Shastram. What Krishna says, may I grasp. So that is the purpose of all these good actions. Okay. And so these are the points to remember, to recall when some book says you do good karma, you will get moksha. Maybe it's just a way of saying that's about it. It's a good thing. Hey, you must first of all clean up your mind, clean up the garbage in this head, and then automatically it will take you to the right place, right direction, moksha, ityadi. Okay. So now, so coming back to the idea of karta, if good karma alone cannot give me moksha, we've seen 3 or 4 reasons why it will not. Then the karta is there. If the doer is there, and if the doership is real, absolutely real, doership is absolutely real, then what? Then the kartritvam is there, then this karma is going to be there. Karma is absolutely real. Karma phalam is absolutely real. And everything becomes absolutely real. And so the samsara is absolutely real. And there is no way to get out of it. No way to get out of it. And the only way to get out of it is if there is a fact about Atma that I have not understood. And this karma, this kartritvam is mithya. And Atma is Satyam. Long ago we talked about Satyam and Mithya. So we bring that here. And Kartritvam, the Karta is Mithya. Karta is there. We are not saying Karta is not there. Karta is Mithya. And what about Atma? Atma is Satyam. Like the wave and water. The wave is Mithya and the water is Satyam. And Atma can be without Karta, but Karta cannot be without Atma. This Satyam and Mithya we need to bring here. And just as a reminder, what is Satyam, what is Mithya? If I ask you, then we have to go back to the example of the pot. So this morning I was wondering, I don't have a pot to show because I'm in my apartment and the pot is sitting there. But I found another little thing. It looks like this. How many of you know what this is? Yeah, some of you are raising your hands. Okay. So there is a lamp, made of this clay. And the lamp that we keep in our puja room. And it's a very interesting lamp. There is a lamp, but then the lamp also is sitting in a bigger receptacle. And then, because our ceiling fan is always on, and then there is always a competition between the ceiling fan and the lamp, and who wins over the other person. So what we have to do is, we put this clay, what do you call this, clay enclosure on top of that, on that lamp. That's why if you look inside, it will be a bit dark, because it has a lot of soot in it. And so I thought, let's use this as an example. This is the, should find a name for it. So lamp, not lamp shade, Lampshade, maybe that's the thing to say, lampshade, I think. Because it's not a cover. If I say cover, then it completely covers the lamp. That's not a good term to use. It's a lampshade. Let's call it a lampshade. And because the lampshade also, it covers certain portions of the bulb and leaves certain portion open. So like that. So this is the lampshade, our ancient lampshade, clay lampshade. And lampshade, we are saying, it's clearly a lampshade. We know exactly what it is used for. You can't use it for drinking tea, chai. Arey chai piyunga, you can't say, because it has a lot of holes. You can't do that. So this can only be used for that purpose. And but then we ask, hey, what is this made of? It's all pure clay, 100% clay, like 100% cotton store, clothes we wear like that, 100% clay. Then what about clay? If you say this is lampshade, then somebody says this is clay. Who is correct? If we ask the question, then we have to say it is lampshade and it is clay, both. All right, it's lampshade and clay. We'll accept that for a while. What is the weight of this? What is the color of this lampshade? Color of this lampshade is brown. Brown. What is the color of clay? The color of clay also is brown. Okay. What is the smell of this lampshade? Normally, we don't smell things in our house, In our tradition, the smelling is not considered a good thing. We don't simply, they won't smell. Flower also, we're not supposed to smell it. And so, in this case, because the example is there, it's the qualities we have to discuss. What is the smell of this lampshade? Oh, it smells like mud. It smells like clay. Oh, what is the smell of clay? Smell of clay also, of course, is the same smell. No different smell. No different smell. I thought you said lampshade and then you said clay. Two words are there. The two are the same thing. Why do you need two different words? No, they are two different things. Okay, two different things. Two different things means show me those two different things. In one hand, keep clay. In the other hand, keep the lampshade. We're all intelligent people, no? We've sent rocket to moon and all that. And so many things we are doing. We are talking on a phone and somebody is wireless and everything is wireless here. And we don't know how this works at all. And we can't figure this out. And thankfully, these people have figured out so much. And so much we have done to this. And with all those technologies and advancements, keep clay and lampshade on two different hands. Separate the two. Now, come on, Jaykumar, you can't have fun with us like that. It's not fair. It's not fair. Why it's not fair? You said there are two different things, lampshade and clay. You only said there are two different things. So two different things, you must be able to separate them out. No, it's not that kind of two different things. Then what kind of two different things? Oh, the lampshade is made of clay. How can you separate? If you take clay out, the lampshade will go away. Oh, okay. Now I got it. If you take the clay away, the lampshade will not exist. Okay. This is what we call Satyam and Mithya. Lampshade depends on clay for its existence. What about clay? Does it depend on lampshade? For its self-esteem, maybe it depends. For our self-esteem, we need something to do. We have to be useful to somebody. We must be something. We must have accomplished something. Only then we can have self-esteem. So maybe this clay needs this lampshade to have a self-esteem. Yeah, correct. That's the problem. If you put a human mind into this lampshade, then the problem of self-esteem will come. Then the self-worth, self-esteem, all these issues will come. I am no good. I am not understood. I am misunderstood. You don't treat me well. This, that. The lampshade can tell. Look at the lamp. Every day he comes. He puts the lamp. He puts me away like this. He puts me away. And then he spent so much time with the lamp. He's cleaning it and he's taking the wick and then putting it again, putting some oil and cleaning all that, wiping everything. And finally, after lighting the lamp, and then he chants all the shlokas. Then finally, before he leaves the puja room, he lifts me up and puts me on the lamp. I don't have job satisfaction. Look at the lamp. I wish I were the lamp, not the lampshade. Right? This problem can be there, very much there. But fortunately, we have made sure we don't have a human brain in this lampshade. And so the lampshade cannot have that problem. And the clay has to understand. The clay has to understand, or this lampshade has to understand. I am 100% clay. I am no different than the lamp. And the lamp also is 100% clay. I am also 100% clay. And I am also solid like a rock. Lampshade also is solid like a rock. And so on. I also smell the same thing like the lamp. There is no difference, absolutely. And my nature and the nature of the lampshade, nature of the lamp are identical. Essential nature are identical. Our functions may be different, but the clay is identical. This clay, which does not depend on the lampshade or the lamp or the pot or the flower vase or anything else, that clay is Satyam. And this lampshade is Mithya. Mithya means what now? That which depends on something else for its existence. That which depends on something else for its existence. Clay can remain clay without being anything. And so clay is not worried about its existence. But the lampshade, not only worried about its existence, but has all kinds of problems, comparing itself to so many other things. This is the mithya. This is mithya. But when the lampshade says, understands it is mithya, lampshade is mithya, but I am Satyam. I am clay. I am 100% pure clay. And that is Satyam, which does not depend on anything else for its existence. And that jnanam of that Satyam is what liberates. And so that is Satyam. That clay is Satyam. And the lampshade is Mithya. This discussion we've had, and it doesn't hurt for us to review that discussion once again. And so for the first time, so now the lampshade should be somewhat happy. Hey, I got my 5 minutes of fame, So all of us need 5 minutes of fame at least, and makes us feel good. And so that is Satyam and Mithya. And here, Karta is that lampshade, that's Mithya. And Karta depends on Atma, which is clay, which is Satyam. Karta depends on Atma. Atma does not depend on Karta. How do you know that? So, Karta, Kartrutvam, doership. If you look at our sense of I, doership means sense of I. Sense of I is there throughout the day. In deep sleep, the sense of I is gone. There is no sense of doership at all in deep sleep. In fact, even during waking state, when you're watching a comedy show and you're all enjoying yourself, and when you're smiling at something and you're fully with that comedy show, at that time, there is no doership at all. Kartrutvam is not there. Your sense of I is not there at all, really speaking. Really speaking. I am so and so idea is not there at all during that second, during that minute of you're enjoying yourself. But then somebody else comes. That person is called a bhokta. That person is called a experiencer. I am the experiencer of this comedy show, this sitcom. And very interesting. Situational comedy has become sitcom. And so that experiencer is there. So I am an experiencer, I am a doer. These are the two things. In one of the satsangs, there was a question. Are there two different things called karta and bhokta? No, there are not two different things. The same I, ahankara, takes on the role of a karta, predominantly bhokta. Sometimes neither, like in deep sleep. In deep sleep, there is no karta, there is no bhokta. And so, the agama pai. So therefore, comes and goes. If karta was satyam, if kartritvam was satyam, then it always must be. It must be there all the time. It cannot come and go. That is the definition of satyam. Satyam means always is. What is always is, what can never go, what can never be destroyed. Avinashi, second chapter, that only is satyam. But kartritvam keeps going. Every day it goes. When you hug a child and then you just lose yourself, what kartritvam is that? Then no kartritvam. Zero. Goes down to zero. And so kartritvam comes and goes. You look at the stars in a nice starry sky, and then you forget yourself. You don't know who you are, nothing. You don't know all the things waiting for you. That list of things that you need to work on tomorrow, nothing is there. Everything is. You're still alive. You're very much alive to the present moment. Kartritvam is not there. So there are situations when there is no doership at all. And so the karta comes and goes. That is the point to be understood here. And that means I am neither a karta nor a bhokta. When kartritvam comes and goes, what it tells me is I am neither a karta nor a bhokta. Because I am there throughout and I don't go anywhere. I is there, and therefore I cannot be that karta. I cannot be bhokta. Okay. So when the mind is there, kartritvam is there. Comes and goes, no doubt. And the karta is there. Mind has to be operative, obviously. And because this sense of I is a thought. Sense of I is a thought. Kartritvam is a thought, right? It's no more than a thought. Ahankara is no more than a thought. Correct? It's a very, very deeply entrenched thought, but that's a thought also, no doubt, which depends on our ahankara. And so that ahankara owns up all activity, owns up everything. That owns up. These are my children, and I need to send them to school. And this is that. I'm aware of my house. I'm aware of so many things to be done. And I did so much in the past. Everything, that whole thing is all. I'm aware of everything and I own up everything. So that ahankara, that ego, that karta, which we are using these words synonymously, the karta is the one who owns up everything. In that person's life, all actions are owned up. That person is the karta. And so that person who is behind every action. Behind every action, you need a karta. And that is karta. And that is ahankara. And so how do you address this kartritva? How can this lampshade recognize that it is clay, 100% clay? And one of the ways is to recognize that I am not a karta, a human being especially. Action is so important. Animals don't have this problem because animals do not have ahankara. They don't have the problem. Therefore, they don't have the problem of comparison. The dog cannot look at the cow and say, look how big the cow is. I wish I were a cow. No, that thought that dog cannot have, because that self-consciousness is not there. Consciousness is there, but only to a limited extent. Just to recognize I'm hungry and I must eat something. And I'm a dog and you're also a dog. And she's not a dog. She's a cow. So that much ahankara only the animals have. But beyond that, they don't. So it's only for the human beings that we have to discuss this idea of karta. kartrutvam, ego. And so this is because this ego, this ahankara is very much a topic that our rishis have discussed. They often talk about the surrender of the ego. Correct? Surrender of the ego. It doesn't matter which part of India we are from. As long as we are born in India, the surrender of the ego idea will be there. Correct? You must surrender your ego. Sharanagati. Surrender. You must surrender. What do you surrender? You must surrender your ego. Okay. Suppose I say, hey, ego is the only thing I have. I've not accomplished much. Like all of you, we have not accomplished much. The only thing I have is my own ego, my own identity. Ego means identity. And you're saying surrender this identity. How can I do that? If I surrender my identity, my ego, what will happen to me? Will I exist as I am right now or not? That question is there. And then why should I surrender my ego? To whom will I surrender? I have to surrender it to Bhagavan. I have to surrender it to Bhagavan. Okay, surrender to Bhagavan. Is that because Bhagavan doesn't have an ego? He's waiting for me to give my ego, so he can help himself. Some morsels of ego. No, that also is not true. Bhagavan doesn't need my ego. That also won't work. And okay, then what will I get if I surrender my ego? What will I get in return? You will get everything. Everything that you've been waiting for, you've been looking for, that you will get. It's called moksha. And you will get everything that you've been looking for, you will get. Now, suppose I surrender my ego. First question is, who is surrendering that ego? You asked me to surrender my ego. The ego is the one who goes about doing so many things. Now, if somebody says surrender the ego, who is going to surrender the ego? The ego should surrender itself. I see. So, you need an ego to do so many things. Now, when it comes to surrendering the ego, you want the ego to surrender itself. How the ego can surrender itself? That is a tough topic. Ego cannot surrender itself. And even if it does, let's say the ego gets somehow surrendered. Then I will get moksha. Then who will get moksha? Ego is walked away. Ego is walked away. Then who is there to get moksha? So all these problems will be there. Swamiji makes it a point to remind us that this surrender of the ego, this idea, while it has to be explained properly, that literally thinking that you must give a part of yourself to somebody, that idea needs to be let go. And sublimation of the ego is important. Sublimation of ahankara is important. Humility is important. All those are prized values, no doubt. But this literally trying to give up something is not what is meant by this surrender of the ego. And it's not possible. And this Swamiji tells us this joke. He likes to say this, and so we should also say it. What is that? This Arati. We show Arati, right? Om Jai Jagadish Hare. Swami Jai Jagadish Hare. Bhakt Janon ke sankat, Das Janon ke sankat, Kshan mein dur kare. Om Jai Jagadish Hare. तन मन धन सब कुछ तेरा है, सब कुछ है तेरा स्वामी, सब कुछ है तेरा. Then like this is going on. Then suddenly Jagadish, Narayana, Vaikuntha woke up. He said, what's going on? They go, Lakshmi, come here. And then Lakshmi comes. What happened? What happened? So this guy, and then Tera Tujko Arpan also. So he said, this guy, sab kuch hai Tera. So he said, his mind, everything, body, everything belongs to me. And then he says, Tera Tujko Arpan. And he wants to give me what belongs to me. What is this? How come this man says this? It already belongs to me. How he can give me what belongs to me? Then Lakshmi says, look, Jaggi. Jaggi means Jagadish, right? So, look, Jaggi, I told you so many times not to take life too seriously. And they want to have a little fun. They want to express their devotion. Allow them to say whatever they want to say. You don't nitpick all these things. Yeah, how many times should I remind you to just take life a little easy? You are supposed to be the Shrishti, Palaka. You're supposed to be the protector of the world. You can't get lost in all these things. Oh, I see. Okay. The next day, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami Jai Jagadish Hare. And then, Tan Man Sab Kuch Hai Tera, Swami Sab Kuch Hai Tera, Tera Tujko Arpan. Hey, Lucky, come here. So Lakshmi comes. They also they're a joyful family. They also have some nicknames, right? And so Lucky comes. And kya hua aaj? What happened, Jaggi? I'm busy right now. And no, look at this guy. Did you see him yesterday? Yes, I saw him yesterday. Today, what? Yesterday, Tera Tujko Arpan. He has given everything he has yesterday to me. Again, how he is giving today? How is it possible? Jaggi, I've told you so many times. Don't get caught up in all these things. Didn't I tell you? How many times I should tell you this? So didn't I tell you? Swamiji likes to make it a point to say, didn't I tell you? It's the beginning of all problems between a couple. And didn't I tell you? You never listened to me. And then it's a start. Oh, when did you tell me? Oh, I also told you so many things. You don't listen. So this goes on and on. So this didn't I tell you? So like that. So Tera Tujko Arpan. Who is going to surrender it to whom? That question comes. Surrender the ego means we have to find a way to understand it. And there may be a beauty to that. You sublimate your ego, your kartrutvam. Don't make a big thing about the things you have accomplished and keep it to yourself. Better just be happy with what you've accomplished than telling the rest of the world everything that you've accomplished. And in companies, it doesn't work like this. In companies, you are supposed to tell very clearly everything you've done. And this weekly reports we used to write, and monthly reports, and then annual reports. This is unending. And unending, constantly you have to go back. What did I do last week? What did I do like the week before last? What did I do last month? It goes on and on and on. And so you have to speak your words, tell who you are, what you accomplished. Otherwise, it may not work. But in general, this idea that this making too much about what we do is one has to approach very carefully. And you do what you have to do. And then if you have to talk about yourself, talk about yourself. But in the mind, I know I'm blessed to be who I am, and blessed to be in the situation that I'm in. And that recognition of the whole just sublimates the entire ego completely. And so this surrender, therefore, when somebody says surrender has to be an attitude. It cannot be an action. Surrender is not an action, it's an attitude. Okay, it's an attitude where I recognize the whole, and where this whole, we talked about these shlokas where Krishna is talking about this cosmos, correct? This cosmos that is there. And what is it? Yajñarthat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhanah tadartham karma kaunteya Mukta Sangas Samachara Sahayajna Praja Srishtva. So like this whole yajna has to be recognized. Only then we can really talk about this Kartrutvam and sublimation of the Kartrutvam, etc. Because otherwise, what happens? Otherwise, we continue to look at ourselves as a very small being in this world and subject to all kinds of problems, and this victim psychology will always set in. Nobody is an exception to that. Nobody is. Therefore, this vision of Krishna is so important. And therefore, here surrender is an attitude. And I am a trustee of this body. I really don't own this body. These are all beautiful ideas to meditate upon. I've been given this body. If something is given to me, neighbor told me I'm going abroad for 6 months. Please take care of my car, like that. So I watch his car. I turn it on every couple of days, so the engine runs, and run it for 5 minutes. All that I do, so the car is in good condition. Okay, that is. Can I look upon my body like that? Can I look upon my mind like that? I must take care of it. I am a trustee. I'm not an owner of it. That's the idea. These ideas have to be brought in, and then the idea of surrender also will be likewise understood. And so this question of how to come out of this chakra, samsara chakra, we need to unfold. We need to discuss that a little more, and which we will continue in the next class. So here we are following Shankara's commentary of the shloka, and he's in the next class we will probably see this, and there will be a debate between the Purva Pakshi and the Siddhanti. Somebody, an opponent, somebody who questions the vision, and then there is a debate like that. So we will see what Shankara says in further more in the next class. Om Swastik Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samastas Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Kshobarahitah Brahmanas Santu Nirbhayaha Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om